Hello everyone, you are listening to YoRadio.com with DJ Sakara, and for this week's community interview, we have the pleasure of receiving the Legionarius Guild of Origin, more commonly known as the BTH Guild. And I have two of their members with me today to tell us more about their guild. I believe they're both council members since the GM could not be with us today, unfortunately. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves so that you guys can familiarize yourselves with their voices. We have Beastmaster, if you want to say hello.
Hello.
A shy Beastmaster. And we have Poisoned, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Howdy.
Geez, guys, don't be so talkative. And everybody else, sorry, I had to poke fun. To everyone else listening, remember that if you want to forward comments, questions for our guests today, you can do so in our IRC, Your Radio channel. All the details are on our website, www.yourradio.com, for all the information to connect to our IRC. And so, we're going to get cracking, and the questions naturally are addressed to both of you guys, so whoever wants to answer, just go ahead and let me know, and the other can comment as well if he wishes. So the first question, I guess, that I would have for you guys would be, since your GM isn't here, I'm assuming that he was the founder of your guild. Is that the case? And if so, like, when did this guild come to life, and what prompted that? Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, it wasn't actually founded by Ho Chi. It was actually founded by another guy named Ogre. It's and he's quit the game now, but
I'm guessing you have a call incoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to happen to me all the time. Poison, you want to comment?
Well, Ogre quit, and Pub, or we call him Pub now, but he kind of took over, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, I think, and he's just kept it going since then. And Ogre's came back, when we came to Origin, he came back for a little while, but he hasn't been here much, especially since I've been here. Beast has been here since the beginning, though, just about.
So how old exactly is this guild?
6.5 years or 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. And your guild's name is Legionarius, but the abbreviation is BTH, and that's kind of like totally not related. So what does BTH stand for?
Biatch.
I see.
I wasn't going to say it, but you asked me. We had to have that changed a few years back to Legionarius, so.
Okay, and as I understand it, BTH, since we will not be repeating the real name of that guild, as I understand it, it was originally from Great Lakes. What prompted you guys to move to Origin?
Just new scenery. It's supposed to be a little different style of PvP, stuff like that. We were mostly fighting the whole shard on Great Lakes, and we wanted a little different style where, it wasn't everybody against us. We wanted, just a different style of PvP, basically.
Yes, Beastmaster?
well, one of the reasons just wanted to change the scenery because it basically turned out is Ho Chi, the guild master of our guild. He he's a hated person. I mean, he talks a lot of crap, when he kills people. And, just everybody hated him. And basically, you could have 15 guilds, just sitting there fighting, and BTH, coming to, say, the wrong area, around the wrong dungeon, and they would all stop fighting each other and just start killing us. And once we were all dead, then they would start fighting each other again. So it basically, the whole server, Great Lakes teamed up on us, FS, BC, which was the two main guilds at that time, along with us. And it's the same thing we're running to over here on Origin. It's the server against us. And with these guild events, they separate, or with the events, the fail event stuff where they give out, items and stuff named differently, like the horny head to be named, have a different name. They have to separate us in different rooms from the rest of the shard. The rest of the shard they put in a room, and the rest of us they separate because we kill everybody if they don't.
Wow. Geez. Charming thing you got going on there. But just so I understand, basically everybody hated you. It's kind of funny to hear that, because my understanding was that everybody hated BC. So I kind of find it interesting that people would ally up with the BC against any other guild. You wanted to comment, Poison?
Yeah, we hated BC basically, and at first it was basically us fighting them, and FS was the other big main player on the shard, and they transferred off, and they'd come back and leave, and come back and leave, and they finally, there towards the end, they allied against, they got quite a few members and allied against us with BC, and it was quite overwhelming. We're talking about, running into Cove 2 doing a harrower and being rushed from each side by probably 50 plus players. That's just outrageous.
But the question, I guess, I was going to ask you that question a little later, but I guess I'm going to ask it right away. Maybe even before we get to the whole Origin, whatever your playstyle is now in Origin, but on Great Lakes, did you consider yourselves as an aggressive guild or a peaceful guild? By this, I mean, if you were to run into, some newbies doing a spawn, well, I shouldn't say newbies, but, some unknown guild or some trammies venturing for the first time in Fel, or just some guild that you really don't have any history with spawning, would you rate them, or would you just leave them be? Yes, Poison.
We raid anybody that isn't in our guild or allied. If you're in Felucca, you're going down, basically. I mean, that's how we roll. That's how we've been since we've been on Great Lakes. We try to stop you best we could, and usually would succeed 99% of the time.
So I can definitely see where the love would come from. Beastmaster, you wanted to comment?
Exactly.
Well, our philosophy on that is, if you don't have a BTH tag, we're gonna fight you or you're gonna die, basically. And it kind of goes back, we've tried to ally with, we have allied with some Trammel guilds, and basically what they do is they pay us. We don't like working the oak spawn, so we'll ally with them, and they can work the oak spawn and give us the skulls, and they get to keep the scrolls. Or we either send a protector down there and they get to keep half the scrolls and we get the skull. And that way we can do harrowers. I think Poison's got 50 plus 25s now, and I got 30 plus, and among other scrolls, and 20s, skill scrolls. We both got a bunch of them, that we've not even sold, that's still, in our banks or whatever. We just basically, we don't, if you ain't got a BTH tag, and if you don't wear your BTH tag, even though you're in the guild, we'll kill you. So that's just the way it works.
Wow. charming. I know Vice has a question, but just to follow up on something you just said, because I'm a bit like speechless. Um, so Tramies would come to Fel and work the spawn for you, give you the one skull that's worth the most, on any shard, really. And they would just give it to you, and they're basically screwing themselves out of ever doing a Harry. So do you let them tag along for the Harry, or they're basically just farming those skulls for you? Yes, Beastmaster.
No, if they come to the Harry, we kill them. I mean, they're not invited to the Harry. I mean, other than the champ spawn area, we kill them. If we see them sitting in town and we can get 3 flame strikes off on them, we kill them. Whether we get guard whacked or not, I mean, you're not protected by us except only at the spawn. Anywhere else, all bets are off. We don't. That's just kind of the way we do things. That's the guild master's view on it. So that's just how we do it. And everybody pretty much follows him. His lead. I've been with him for 6 years. If he left BTH or if he started another guild, I would probably personally go with him, and probably most of the guild as well. If there was a split or whatever.
Wow, awesome. Poison, go ahead.
I remember one time we allied with the guild, and they would fight with us, and they would do their own spawns, we'd do our own spawns, and they would do a harrower, and they didn't really have the manpower to complete a harrower while defending against the guilds that were not allied with us, and we would protect them. They would do the harrower and the tentacles, etc., and we would basically set the defense up and keep stealthers and everything away from them. And they'd give us a code of the scrolls, or that's another way we did it. That's not as ruthless as the other way, I guess you would say.
Okay, Viceroy, go ahead.
Yes, I actually have 2 questions about some of the things with regards to your guild. First of all, about the Harries and everything, you say you basically request or require that they give you the best scroll out of all the scrolls in which you might get from a Harry. Is that like prearranged? And my second question is, basically, did your guild move over to Origin simply because your guild would be like the biggest guild on Origin if you guys were to move over there? Is that why you guys maybe moved over to Origin to begin with? Or, I mean, did that ever occur to you guys, or what? Go ahead, Poison.
Well, like BC, towards the end there, they were getting to where they wouldn't even fight us, and PvP was just dying, and it was just getting real sad on Great Lakes. So we go to Origin. And we've got 4 guilds. I mean, at the beginning of Origin in January, we had 4 guilds. We had KBZ and D and all those guys. They were all allied up against us, and I mean, they outnumbered us badly, but we still put them in their places, basically. But our main intentions in moving over there were, to get a little more PvP, and we didn't feel that we would be the rulers of the shard, I guess the way you're trying to say it. I mean, the biggest guild, whatever. We were just trying to move it. We were trying to move there to get away from BC's lack of fighting and doing spawns at 3 o'clock in the morning to get away from us and stuff like that, because I mean, and still, even though we moved to Origin, to get away from that, it's happening here again. I mean, they'll try and fight us, but usually, like I said, 99% of the time, we'll take the spawn or not lose the spawn. And, when the Ventrilo starts getting slim about 3 o'clock in the morning, that's when they'll start getting all their people on. They're kind of like vampires. They never sleep. And we've even forced quite a few people to move off the shard because they get tired of losing with more numbers most of the time. But that's I guess I hope I answered your question right, but I rambled on a little bit. But that's what I had to say.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And the reason I had to ask that question is because I'm looking here, and it looks like you guys got about 250 veteran members on Origin, whereas the next biggest guild has only 88 veteran members, and that's like a 3-to-1 ratio. And so I just had to ask that question. But I do appreciate you guys answering the question. Go ahead, Beastmaster.
Well, a lot of ours, you say 250 people, it's like I got, Poison has 2 or 3 accounts, I have 2 or 3 accounts, and just about all of our characters, 18 characters are in there. I'd say we probably got 40 to 50 people, roughly, actually maybe a few more, a few less, it's hard to say. But going back to your questions before, if they want to do a spawn, yes, it's prearranged. Basically everybody, we tell them, after we kill them, when they're trying to do one on their own, that if they want to do it, they have to pay, look us up. I'll be glad to talk to you. And as far as coming to Origin, a lot of our veteran players that had been around, say, 3 to 5 years, were really getting tired of, it was like a job. I mean, we was running in shifts trying to keep them from doing spawns, fighting them, and BC had 50, 60 people on. They could get, even up to 100 people on in like, an hour's notice. And I mean, we could most of the time, battle them, but certain days, there's no way. I mean, even in the, you can imagine putting 100 players on the screen, with the fields and the EVs and the, casting. I mean, it's just, it's unbearable. And, we wanted to go somewhere where it was an even kill. Nobody was, had anything. Nobody could transfer over, for 6-8 months, whatever. And I think our guildmaster done it, because if he didn't, a lot of our veteran players were getting burnt out, and they would either move, or they was just going to, get tired of doing it and quit. That's basically what he told me at one time.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Sakura, and I'll turn it right on back over to you.
Alrighty, thanks. Actually, it's going back to something that you guys had mentioned. Now that we have a better understanding why you guys are so loved, I'm kind of wondering, because that one kind of boggled my mind when you said it. The EM is actually keeping you guys from taking part in an event with everybody else in a Feluca event. Yes, Beastmaster.
No, he doesn't keep us from being part of it. What he does is he tries to separate us. Like if we're the events we've been having, and I don't know, it's all leading up to, we think that it's going to be Luna against, or Trammel against Fell. But what it's been leading up to is they've been having one Fell event a week, one Trammel event a week. And what they basically do is, the first week it was BTH against anybody else that showed up. And we annihilated the other bunch, and it was even numbers. And then we fought out among ourselves for who got the reward. There's only one reward. So then it goes into, we chose 4-man teams, and then it gets down to just 4 people, and then either they decide to sell and split whatever they get, or they decide to battle it out between them, and the winner take all. In the first event, Citizen Bum won. The second event, Citizen Bum won it again. He's a great PvPer. And basically what it was, the first event he got an Orny that was renamed as something, I don't even know what it was, and he sold it for like 250 mil. And then the second, or maybe it's the third event, he got the Crown of the Horror or whatever. that artifact, and it's renamed something else, a different color, and basically he's got it for sale right now. You know, they're one of a kind. You'll never, you know, but that's, you know, they just separate us because the first time they put us all in one room, we killed everybody, and that ain't how he wanted it to go down. So they went to a 4 versus 4 event last time, and you just chose teams, and Citizen Bomb and our guild master Ho Chi, their team won, and then they battled it out between themselves for who got the reward. But they split as a team once they sell it. Suppose is what they said.
I see. Poison, you want to comment on this?
The second fell event, another guild mate, Spider Jones, he got a hat. It was a skull cap, but it was the same mods as Casa of the Origin, and it had a different name to it also. Another guild mate. There's been 3, and Bum won the first and third, and Spider Jones won the second one.
Well, gee. It's actually pretty cool, though, that you guys get one fell, one tram event. But I remember the EFL guys were mentioning at some point that they would work together with their, you know, with their EM organizing events, you know, where the EM would actually ask them, okay, you guys are going to be the bad guys, and, you know, you're going to, you know, people are coming here with the intent of fighting you guys, killing you guys or whatever, and you're supposed to kill them, but, you know, don't kill them too brutally and too totally, you know, kind of give them half a chance to make it even or interesting. Would this be something you guys would consider doing, working together with your EM rather than, you know, in a way destroying the event? Because for sure if people are trying to take part into an event and you're basically slaughtering everyone before they even have a chance to see what's going on, then it kind of wrecks it for them. So would you consider working with him rather than, in a way, against him? Yes, Poison.
That's kind of how he did it with us. He asked us, you know, it's kind of not really a good versus evil, but obviously we would be more of the evil aspect of it because, you know, nobody else that goes to Faluka is red except us, and obviously they don't have to be. If we're all red and they're all blue, everybody's fighting us. But that's, in a sense, that's kind of how he did it with us. And we really didn't slaughter. I mean, we really didn't do anything out of context of how he wanted us to, but we, you know, he told us is, you know, open field. That's what he called it, last man standing, and the last person standing got the reward. And then this last one, he made it the 4-on-4, so maybe to even give them better odds. And that's maybe I answered your question. I hope I did.
Yes, you did. Go ahead, Beastmaster.
Well, I guess we kind of screwed the first event up. Maybe we misunderstood, you know, what he had told us, how he wanted to roll. But we showed up. He opens a gate. Everybody goes in, and we just start killing everybody that's not in the guild. And I think he wanted to, you know, everybody to go in and put us on one end and put everybody else on the other, and then say ready, set, go, you know, fight. Basically, when we walked in the gate, we started casting earthquakes, you know, in DP fields, and I mean, you know, you can imagine what's going to happen at that point if they're not ready either, because there was more of them than there was us. So I mean, you know, we just took it as soon as you go in, you start fighting, and you know, then that's how he come to separating us from everybody else, because he says that he puts us all in the same room, we'll kill everybody before it ever gets started. So he won't let us get in the same room with everybody else. BTH on one side, everybody else on the other.
Okay, Viceroy wants to comment.
Yes, I'm kind of curious about how, what if, from the what if aspect. I'm more curious as to what if you say you were not to cooperate with the EM and you would just go in there and slaughter everybody. I'm kind of curious as to what would happen.
Yes, Beastmaster.
I think it was the second event that I overlooked that Spider Jones did win. He didn't like the way we were doing things after it got started, so he summoned like 50 Balrons, and you can imagine what 50 Balrons would do to you in the size of, maybe a castle plot. So that's kind of what happened in the second one. So the third one we straightened up, and he set it up different. He had a special area he done a little, where he could separate us into certain rooms, and he would come in and gate, us to wherever we needed to go to get ready for the fight, and the other teams as well from the other side. So, it was a learning experience both ways because, first time we didn't understand, second time, we messed it up, I guess, we, got overjoyed and happy and just started killing too many people or something.
Overjoyed and happy. I just find it's interesting way of putting it, even though that was probably bringing major misery around you. But yeah, it would be interesting to see, because that's why I was kind of surprised when you had first mentioned the EM separating you, because I know they kind of have like some rules about that, and in a way, I mean, PKing is part of Feluca. They can't come to Fel and expect you guys to trammy it up. I mean, it is Fel. At the same time, it would be nice not to slaughter people left and right, especially the trammies that have no clue what they're walking into. But then again, certain actions can be considered as griefing, and griefing an event is actually bannable. And so that's where I'm like, I wonder how the EM handles it, because where does it, where do you define the line? Where is it normal Felucan playstyle, and where is it griefing? Yes, boys.
Well, the last event, we had to meet at the Demon Temple, and of course he was trying to keep everybody from fighting, and he said if we keep fighting, they're going to cancel the event. So that's his way of trying to keep us tamed, I guess you'd say. But I guess that's what you want to know.
Yeah, probably. Beastmaster, go ahead.
Well, after the first event, he's seen it, and he even said, he didn't make it clear. So, I mean, it was, maybe both of our faults, or that's just how we thought we were supposed to do it. We didn't really know because it was our first one. The second one, he made us all enter dead. We had to die before we went in. Then he got a bunch of healers, wandering healers in there, red ones and blue ones, and he had regs and stuff on the ground that you could pick up, bags of regs. And that's how the second one went. And then the third one is, he gained experience and we gained experience from it. The second one, he let us all in, but he separated. That's when we went to the separation state. He separated us on one side, everybody else on the other. We chose our teams ahead of time. We practiced doing 4-on-4s against other teams, for 2 weeks. Once we found out it was going to be 4 versus 4, we all chose our teams, who we wanted on our teams or picked, and then we fought each other, at farms and other places where we could, duel it out. And that's kind of, in the next, we're kind of speculating on how it's going to all end. We think it's, because with the Luna events every week, we think eventually that the guy, the EM, I don't forget what his name is, Draxus something, we think we're going to team up with him, and the Luna bunch is going to team up with whatever the event moderator's name is there, and we'll fight it out for, I don't know, maybe Mondane's Legacy start. I don't know if we'll get anything out of it, but that's how I'm figuring it's going to roll out in the end. I'm not, I don't know that.
Okay. There is one question I wanted to ask you based on something you mentioned earlier. You were saying that during the events, you guys are all the Reds and, all the other people are the Blues. Basically, the non-BTH people are Blues. Is your guild essentially Red, or do you guys have it pretty much half and half? Yes, Beastmaster.
Yes, every guild member has to have a red to be in BTH. When you roll for scrolls for characters, you may have a guy that's been in the guild 6 years that's got a blue that don't have a red, and you may have a guy that's been in there 2 weeks that's played his red all along, and there's a 20 major up for grabs. The guy that's red's going to get priority. All reds are prioritized because, all we carry is one protector and one killer to the spawns, 2 blues. Rest are reds. That's how it goes.
Wow, so basically the 2 Blues, 1 protector, and 1 to kill the champ.
Yes.
Wow. That makes a very slow kill though for the champ, but but it works against crashers, that's for sure. But question now, what does your guild do besides killing anybody that's not BTH? Do you guys do other things than spawning, I guess, to a certain extent? Yes, Beastmaster.
We duel each other, and we fight at U Moongate. We go to U Moongate, and basically that's where all the Blues on Origin hang out, or Reds, not non-BTH members. And we go there and have battles, when we get bored with them. And we duel each other, but I mean, as far as other guild events, is like going to, Tokyo Islands or Ishnar or stuff like that. No, we don't do any kind of travel type stuff at all. None.
Okay. Is this what your guild has always been about, or has that changed? I mean, obviously, if your guild is like over 6 years old, champ spawns did not exist at the time, so that's just like a new element that was added. But besides the actual champ spawn, is this what you guys basically always did, or did that change over the years? Yes, Beastmaster.
Basically, before that, we warred any guild, or we warred all guilds that would wars plus factions. And before that time, we just PK'd. Before Trammel, before Ishnar, before any of that, we just PK'd. We went to the seat where people was killing, lynches and stuff like that for money. We went in and PK'd them, and then, we had chaos and order. We done that. When they put in factions, we done that. Before insurance and all that, then you could bless stuff, so, we've always been PvP oriented. BTH has always been, about PvP. Now, the only way you can get PvP is at champ spawns, so that's what we do. Our guild right now is probably, just doing chain despise spawns because, they can knock them out in 20 minutes, and that's, basically that's all it is to do. We do the spies to invite a fight. It's easy to get to. It's not far from, Serpent's Hold Dungeon where you go into fire. They can be there in 2 seconds. Anybody wants to fight. So that's basically pretty much all we do.
Yeah, this spies, I think, on every single shard is pretty much the place when you want some action. I don't think anyone who spawns the spies seriously think they can get away with it without getting some kind of fighting going on. I know my own guild, when we do the spies, is because we're in the mood for a fight. Because you can be sure there is going to be somebody popping up at one point or another. Go ahead, Poison.
Yeah, our shard's getting at the point now at which we can do the spies all day long and not see another blue come down there. And a lot of times now we'll have to go to U-gate and guard fight, which is we really don't like doing that, but we have to go to U-gate and fight, or fight at Serpent's Hold at the entrance fire dungeon, stuff like that. It's not really how the guild likes to do it, but we prefer no guard zone, no ability to recall, like down in a dungeon. That's why we usually try to pull the fight into either T2A or the spies or Destard, places like that.
I see what you mean. Yeah, the no recall thing it's actually a good thing when you're on the winning side. It's not a good thing when you're on the losing side. Go ahead, Beastmaster.
I don't want to make you think we never lose any battles, because, I mean, at times we do lose battles. But the thing about our guild, or, maybe it's from our guild master, pushing us, but no matter if we're outnumbered or get beat 20 times in a row, we never quit. We keep going back when we find a way to win. We may get killed 300 times before we ever beat them. Maybe because they're tired of sitting at their computer fighting us, I don't know. But we will win in the end. And we just keep coming back, and I think that's something that a lot of the guilds that have transferred or thought about transferring over to fight us, is they see that. We beat them 2 or 3 times, they're gone for the night. They beat us 2 or 3 times, we keep coming back. We don't quit. We'll go in town and fight you. I play a red, and if one guy attacks me and there's 5 blues in town, I'll go in there and try to kill the 1 gray that's flagged to me, and I'll fight the other 4 guys along with it. And that's pretty much anybody in our guild does the same thing. A lot of times we die unnecessarily because we do stuff like that, but basically that's the only way we can get a fight. And, we've even went as far as to spawn harrowers and just let it sit, not even go down there. Send somebody down there to watch it or stealth or whatever. And when people try to come kill it, we go down there and kill them. Once they're dead, we leave the harrower sitting there for 5 or 6 hours.
You leave the Harry sitting there instead of calling in reinforcements and just owning the darn thing.
We went as far as to tell, the whole shard, or announce it 2 or 3 days ahead of time that it's a free harrower, but we didn't say it was, it's free for them to come, but we didn't say they was going to get out of there with anything.
Ouch. So basically it's a bait. Come get your butts handed to you. Well, it's a way to bring some fresh meat, I guess, to Felucca. You wanted to comment, Poison?
Yeah, I was just going to comment. One of the first couple of weeks we were here, there were a lot of trammies, not many people in Felucca, and we just spawned a harrower. And I believe it was Cove 2, just let it sit there for a few hours, and they started rolling in, started killing the tentacles and such, and we raided from each end, Cove 2, and that was a ball, because they just kept coming back and coming back. It was fun.
Okay. But anyways, I almost feel sorry for them. In the end, did you guys end up with all the dubs, or did some of them manage to sneak out with a few of the scrolls?
I think maybe they didn't that time, but I think in our whole time on Origin, we've lost 1 scroll to a thief. That's a pretty good track record, I think. Maybe lost 1 harrower out of about 80. I would guess that only because I've got about 80-25, or I had about 80-25 stats before transfers, so I've been to about every one, and we've probably done about 80, and I think we've lost 1. Wouldn't you say that's about right, Beast?
Yeah, and if you lose a scroll to a thief or something like that, we don't let you roll on scrolls anymore for a day or 2, because it's your stupidity that you get the scroll stolen. because we have detectors and other things there, in place. But I think we did lose one harrower. I don't know if poison was on, or we didn't lose it. We lost part of the scrolls. It destered. That's pretty much wide open. I think some people got in and got some hits on it, and we was doing it with I don't know, 10, 12 people, and half of us was blue and half of us was red, and we probably had 20 plus people attacking, and we probably ended up with 30 scrolls, maybe 28. I can't basically remember. But I didn't roll for 4 harrowers because of that, because it was partly, my fault for not protecting it well enough. So, I mean, there is consequences if you let something like that happen.
I think it was like half and half, because there towards the end, all the blues and on the other side and us were fighting, and we had, most of our blues were hitting it, which we didn't have very many, and some of their blues were hitting it. So, I mean, it was kind of a free-for-all in a sense, but it was fun.
And so, basically, the way you're talking, there doesn't seem to be all that much competition on your shard currently. So, who would you consider as your biggest threat or competition? Which guild? Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, right now it's probably Dynasty, which is D. And, well, D and FEL have, FEL Guild, have aligned with each other basically to fight us from time to time. And, like today there was like 10 or 12 maybe people in Vent on our side. And then I think D had maybe 20 people. We was kind of strapped. I wasn't on. Poison wasn't on. You need leadership. People calling targets even if you're dead, stuff like that. It's kind of like we've seen with D or other. You kill their guild master or their leader, and they can have 5 times as many people in there in disarray, and they die. That's the reason we have an Ether system. We have 5 Ethers plus the guild master, and it's your responsibility to command the fights. We can't all be on at one time. So that's how we got our guild set up. If I die, in a battle, a lot of times I'll just stay dead and command the fight on a ghost, call targets, res this guy, res that guy, get them up, loot this guy, that kind of things. That really works well. If you don't have that, we could have 5 times more people against a good crew of D, and we probably wouldn't win. I've seen it happen before, not necessarily on this shard, but against BC on Great Lakes, even numbers, or one of us are teetering back and forth on numbers. But if you don't have leadership, it ain't going to happen.
Okay, so Dynasty would be the one guild that you feel is the biggest competition, I guess. But basically, do you consider yourself, well, actually let me ask the question differently. How do you think your guild ranks among the current other main Falucan guilds on Origin? Yes, Poison.
We're number 1 without a doubt, but a lot of times during the weekend, a lot of the people we fight don't seem to go out on the weekends, and a lot of our guild will get out and go out for a night on the town, and having 4 or 5 people in an event against about 30 kids that I guess don't like to go out, I guess is the best way to put it, and that gets hard sometimes, but 90% of the time we put them in their places. I mean, nobody really has any competition for us.
And so, during the week, on average, how many people do you feel? Like, how many people would you raid with, or how many of your members can you round up, in just a few seconds if the need arises for you to go raid, or if you guys just want to spawn? I'm not talking weekends, since clearly you're telling me that weekends are quieter, but during the week. Yes, boys.
It doesn't matter how many people we can rouse up. If they did a heroin wrong not too long ago, it was a server up heroin, and there was about 5 of us on, and they had about 30 altogether, I would say, at a rough estimate. And we kept going back. We died and kept going back. It really doesn't matter, because that's what sets us apart from them. Because if we're doing a heroin with 20 people and they have 5, and they come and they die once, they leave. That's the thing that kind of sets us apart. We don't give up. 5 on 20, 5 on 30. We'll keep coming back until we succeed, or it's over, either one. And we'll get on ICQ, stuff like that, MSN, and if something big's going on, like if somebody else is trying to do an Oaks or a Harrower, we can ICQ or call somebody, get people rounded up. Most of the time we can probably get 10 or 12 people on pretty quick if we have to, if it's a dire emergency. But about 10's about big as it gets if it's a off hours time trying to get people to come help.
Okay, Beastmaster, you wanted to comment?
Well, we basically have a call list. The Guildmaster has a call list. He'll call me, he'll call Poison, which are EFers, and we'll call other people that we have their, everybody's got a cell phone, so it's pretty much free. And, like I live in Tennessee, our Guildmaster, reason he's not on tonight is he's moving to Tennessee to finish college, but he lived in Arizona. So, and then our other, assistant Guildmaster, he lives in Michigan. And, we kind of live all over the place, but we do have a call list, and we call each other on the cell phone and say, hey, they're doing a Harrower, hey, they're doing an Oaks. We only got 5 people in the event, round up who you can, if you can, you don't know where you might be. But that's basically, the quickest way to get people on. ICQ, like Poison said, is a quick way. And then, with the new Guild Alliance and Guild Chat, it's a lot easier, because they may be on a Trammel character, a Tamer or something, and maybe, in Ishnar trying to kill Paragons for loot. We can type it in there and they can see it and change characters real quick. That kind of things, is kind of how we get around. Like right now we had 20 people basically in the game on our ventrilo. Not all of them are there. Some of them are AFK, but you can get them pretty quick if you need them. Plus, probably 5 more.
Well, that's not so bad then. Poison, you want to comment?
Well, one thing we require, or try to require, is that if you're on UO and you're in BTH, we try the best we can to require guildmates to be in Ventrilo. Sometimes people don't follow the rules or anything, but automap and Ventrilo is one thing we require guildmates to be in while you're on the game.
Yeah, that definitely helps a lot. Getting the people in it sometimes is a bit guild functions that they should not have to be in UOAM, because then they feel it's like, they have no more privacy kind of thing. But I do agree that once you're on your guild character, you definitely should be on the map and in Ventrilo, because if your guild needs you, then there's no doubt it's a lot faster that way. Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, how we've kind of, I guess, set it up is if you're in the guild and you get caught out and about, say around, wherever, on a guild character, because some people don't, not all their characters are guilded, but if you get caught and you're not in Ventrilo, you automatically die. We're going to kill you. That's one way of doing it. Another way would be if you're not in map and you don't have a good reason for not being in map, we're going to kill you. That's just, that's one way, we require these things to be in the guild. And, killing people and taking their stuff is the best way to get them in there.
Oh, wow. So you mean you don't just kill them, you actually loot them too?
Yes, if they're in the game and not in Ventrilo and we catch them, yes, I will. I will kill them at Luna Bank and they can have 500 scrolls on them and I'll take them all. That's just, my guild's been sitting here making fun of me because they're saying I'm sounding way too nice on there for the way I really am. I'm kind of stern. We got rules set up and that's the way it should go. And, that's just, if you're going to be in the guild, we expect you to be in Vent. I don't care if you want to go to Ishnar and hunt Paragons, get in Vent and we got different channels set up so they can say, we're in Doom, we're wherever. And then if, we get in a big battle and we have to have you, we'll call you. If not, we'll let you stay there. But if you're in the game and, if you're not on a guilded character, we may not always know, but if you're on a guilded character, you better not be caught if you're not in Vent. That's just the way, because I'll loot you. I don't care what, you can have a horny on you. I don't care. I'll take it and laugh at you the whole time.
Holy cow. I'm sorry, but I'm figuring that it's it's gonna be it has to create some kind of major love between you and whoever got looted. And I'm actually suspecting maybe some people taking a bow after that. I mean, I don't know, if I got killed by my own guildmate, granted it was my fault for not being in Vent, but geez, killed and looted.
But we take care of our members like I've probably given away $500-600 million, gold pieces, whatever worth of stuff. I give away, artifacts. I give away an orny to a guild member. I give away, a hat of the Magi. We take care of our members. It's not like we're just, we're asking them to come into the guild and, every person in our guild has probably got, 50, 60 mil, plus probably all the artifacts they want, and I mean, what can you say? I mean, you can call that what we do is crazy, killing them and stuff, but, look at the benefits they're reaping out of it. I mean, they're not going to go to Trammel and hunt for, all day and all week and make 2 mil. I mean, it's not going to happen. I've been there and done that. It's just the way it is.
Okay. Poison, you want to comment on this? I'm sorry, I'm still in a bit of a state of shock. Go ahead.
It's more of a sense of respect. They respect us by being in Vent, doing what we ask, and we respect them by making them, rich beyond their wildest dreams. They get anything they want, like B said. They have nothing to worry about. They don't have to worry about, insurance running out, blah blah blah. They've got everything they want. Characters 20'd out. I mean, there's nothing you could do to possibly make more money in this game on this shard than be in our guild and, be moderately active and assist in the things we do. There's no possible way.
Well, for sure there are upsides to it. I guess I'm too soft. I just find it really harsh. A harsh way of teaching the lesson, though I'm sure it will be thoroughly learned by then. I don't think somebody, especially somebody that was bank sitting with a lot of Uber stuff, will forget that lesson anytime soon. Go ahead, Beastmaster.
Well, like yesterday, for instance, we had a problem arise inside the guild, which what happened is I got home from work and I was in another channel with 2 or 3 other guys. And some of our crew were working the spies, and they got attacked. Well, they asked us to come down and help them out. So me and these other 3 guys went down, and they were losing the spawn at the time. The champ was up. There was like 15 guys on the bridge, attacking them. And we went in and basically backed them, got them backed up, and we died. The 4 of us, well, instead of them helping us, they left through the gate with the scrolls and went and rolled on them. And we died, and that kind of, upset me to a point. So they went to another spawn to do another spawn. So me and one of the other warriors, which is one of our premier warriors, Crimson, me and him went to the spawn and killed all of our guys doing the other spawn and left them dead and killed their mounts. I felt like that was, that's kind of the way, we feel about how things need to go. You're supposed to be there for guild mates no matter what, what's going on. You drop it and you come, if they need help. I've stayed on the screen and died with countless numbers of guild mates where I could have run and saved myself. But, and if I catch you running in a fight, you see you're going to die and I'm going to die, I'm going to turn around and start killing you myself. I'm not going to sit there and let you run off.
I think I'm going to make you come to Atlantic for a few days so that you can get a few of my guildies that are slackers to shape up. Gee, you're quite the drill sergeant, but it must be effective. If you want to come.
If you think I'm a drill sergeant, you should see our guild master. He is probably 10 times worse than I am. He's pretty rough. They call me more of one of the nicer ones. Poison probably is the nicest of the bunch. He's not quite as, I guess, stern as some of us. But, we all, are different people, and we have different way of operating. And we have vent that blows up and everybody hollering at each other, everybody dying. But everybody keeps coming back. They keep coming back to the fight no matter whether we're getting along or not. We kind of put that aside until the fight's over, and then we may kill each other 20 times, at a remote location, just because we're pissed at them. And then we may res them and then kill them 20 times. It's just, how we kind of do it. But, we're still a guild, and you're expected to, come to the aid of your guild mate. If not, you're going to get kicked out. If you're not putting in the time in the guild, if we put you in the guild and you're not putting in time, you're going to get kicked out of the guild. And if we're access to your house, it's going to get looted. You're out for good. It's no coming back.
Okay. Before I go to Viceroy's question, I just want to remind everyone that you're listening to YoRadio.com, and this is the interview of the Legionarius Guild, better known as the BTH Guild of Origin, formerly of Great Lakes. Yes, Viceroy, go ahead.
Yes, I'm really interested by the fact that you guys basically employ tactics of that of Russians in like World War II. If you didn't get out there and fight, you basically got killed by your own commander. It's kind of like a traitor type system. If you betrayed your team, well, you got killed by your own team. But what I really am really interested in is just exactly what's the reaction whenever you go around and kill some of your own teammates, and how do they typically respond? Do they typically usually quit the guild, or and then let's just say, for example, let's just say some of your members don't have a microphone or anything. What do you do in a situation like that? And then also another question I have for you guys is, what would you do if, say, you weren't on TeamSpeak or Ventrilo and they were to come and kill you? What would your reaction be? Go ahead, B-Master.
I have not been in Ventrilo from time and been called on a character and have been killed by the guild master who I've been with for 6 years. They're probably likes me as much as anybody in the guild, and he has done to me to set a point out that, you follow the rules. And, even though it made me mad at the time, I didn't have, I knew the rules and I broke them. So, I paid. The typical reaction, I get a cussing from them. And then, I tell them to come on to wherever they want to meet and we can dish it out, whatever they want to try to kill me, fine if they, which they're not going to. And that's, I can't remember all your questions, but basically, they're going to get mad. We have very few quit, and if they do quit, they're giving up millions of gold pieces. They're benefiting, they're scrolling out their characters. They're getting any artifact they want. And, where else are you going to get this at? Either you can stay under our reign or you can go out on your own. And most of the people that do quit end up quitting the game or leaving the server because they're going to be the first target I head for whenever I see them in a fight. If they want to join another guild, they're going to be the first one dropped. They're my first target call. Just to prove a point. We've had some of our older members, get mad, and we basically killed them time and time again, camped their house, whatever, until they left the server or quit the game. That's what we wanted.
Wow. My other questions were basically, what do you do in a situation where one of your teammates is on Ventrilo, but they don't have a microphone? Is it required that you have a microphone to be on Ventrilo, or do they just have to be on Ventrilo, period? Go ahead, Poison.
Well, this new guild chat really alleviated a lot of problems with that. Before, if it got to the point where we really needed to know something, they would put it in their comment and Ventrilo, but guild chat, like we've got some people in the guild that don't have a mic and can't talk, and they'll talk to us in guild chat on UO. It makes it a lot easier.
Okay, well that takes me to my next question. I know Beastmaster answered this question in sort of a way, but what I was really getting at, Beastmaster, is what would your reaction be if someone lower on the totem pole, lower than you, say just a regular member or a new guy, just come along understanding the rules that if you ain't in Ventrilo, that you can kill him? Would you be upset if a new member or a new guy came along and followed your guidelines and killed you? What would your reaction be to that?
Me personally, I stay in Vent 24 hours a day. I mean, even when I'm not on, I get in the AFK channel. And but for instance, my electricity went out, and I wasn't connected to Vent, something like that. I have it coming to me. I mean, it would, put the point to me that I needed to be in Vent, and I wasn't in Vent, and,
Okay, so you'd be perfectly fine with somebody who's just joined yesterday, understanding the rules, and you weren't in Vent, and saw you in the game and killed you. So, okay. What about you, Beastmaster?
First of all, I doubt they could kill me. Just let me add that. Second of all, a lot of people are going to steer clear of me, even if they did see me, and they would know it was me. No, they probably wouldn't do it. Our GM probably would, and I couldn't say nothing if he did. But very few people would probably, kill me in the game just for the heck, just because I wasn't in Vent. But usually, if I have a problem like Poison was talking about, cable goes down and I drop and get back in the game, I'll call somebody, somebody that's in the Ventrilo and tell them, hey, my cable dropped, hey, my electricity went out, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to do anything in the game that I'm not in Vent, very rarely. Unless I'm just like home for lunch or something, going to take 10 minutes to do something. But most of the time I get in Vent to see who's in there and see what kind of problems they're having. But other people, they may not, and they'll probably skate by, that way. And I'm sure there's a lot to do it, if we don't catch. But, the consequences are consequences. But let me add, I doubt they could kill me if they did find me. And that's just pretty much how that goes.
Well, well, what I'm really trying to get at is just saying, maybe you are the best in your guild or something like that. But I'm just saying, let's say you was down like to maybe 20 health and they was to shoot a flame strike at you and kill you. What would your reaction be? Would you be pissed at a new member, a guy that maybe just joined a day ago, killed you? Or, what would your reaction be? Or would you be cool with it? That's what I'm really getting at. Just given that situation, if that were to happen.
Oh, I would probably be, depending on the situation, I would probably be upset about it. And let me add, I'm by far not the best player in our guild. I'm only merely a leader. There's a lot of guys that can kill me, I guess. They can kill some of my characters, they would have a hard time with, depending on what character I was on. But, yeah, I guess I would probably be mad. I'd probably log on my guild characters and probably come back hunting them and probably kill them 500 times for the next 2 weeks, But that's, part of, if you're going to kill me, I'm going to kill you back, 20 or 30 times. It depends on whether they want to, pay the consequences for killing me. I've killed people in game and they've come back and killed me. It just, but, after 200 or 300 deaths, maybe it's all worked out. There's a lot of good players. Our guild master's probably the best field fighter. I consider myself probably one of the premier field fighters, but as a dueler, I'm not that great. Warrior duel, I'm probably premier, but mage dueling, I'm not that good. I'm probably, mediocre, but, I don't try to tell everybody I'm the best. I'm just going to fight anybody and everybody that wants to fight. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose, but I'll never quit.
Okay, so in other words, you wouldn't kick him out of the guild because of that? You would just basically grief him?
I wouldn't kick any guild member for something like that. Maybe I would grief him, maybe I wouldn't. Depending on who the person was that killed me. No, I wouldn't kick them out. I've got the power to kick them out, but I don't do things like that. Everything like that, unless it's an emergency situation, has to be run through the GM before it can be done.
Okay. Go ahead, Sakara.
It's just, okay, just to make sure that I got this right. If one of your guildies kills you because for basically not observing one of your own rules, which is to be in Ventrilo whenever you're in game, you will kill them back repeatedly until you get it out of your system. Now, if somebody in your own guild wasn't in Ventrilo and you kill them, they would have to take the beating and accept it. Shouldn't you accept it too? And if you start killing them back like repeatedly, what kind of an atmosphere is that going to create in your guilds? And that going to start building all kinds of resentment where, people just start slaughtering each other all the time in the guild, and it's at the point where you can't even trust your own guildies. You don't know when somebody isn't just going to slaughter you for the heck of it. I know Poison wants to comment on it, but I'm going to ask Beastmaster first since the question was really originally addressed to you. Go ahead, Beastmaster.
If you really got a problem, and we call ourselves the Ephers, that probably what would happen there is the guild master would probably step in and he'd probably kill all of you. And if he couldn't do it by himself, he'd call the whole guild on top of you, ban you from Vent for 1 day, kill you on sight if you're caught in the game on any guilded characters, until you get the point that the rules are the rules. Have I killed people for killing me? Yes. That's just the way it goes sometimes. That's, there's 100 explanations, I guess, for the way it could go. We don't really have it arise that much, but it has been done, different ways. Poison will probably elaborate on it better because he has been killed several times by guild members for killing them or saying something derogatory towards them, and several instances that I can remember. So he can probably elaborate on that better than me.
Okay. Poison, go ahead.
Yeah, I get killed a lot, but God, I lost my train of thought. Most of the time that all this stuff happens that we've been talking about is in time of that we needed somebody and we didn't have them, and come to find out they were, farting around. Let's just say, for instance, they did a harrower and we had minimal people to attack them with, and then we go to Luna and there's 5 people shopping in Luna that's not in Vent, and I mean that's one of the main circumstances that we're not making it out that we'll kill anybody on site no matter what. This is mainly like in a time that we needed somebody and didn't have them, and come to find out it was because they were lollygagging around somewhere else. That's what we're trying to get through. We're not trying to act like we're just want to kill people in their own guild for no particular reason at all. That's just what I wanted to add to it.
Alrighty, thank you. I guess back to you, Viceroy, if you have more questions.
No, I don't really have any more questions. Thank you.
Alrighty. I guess back to all the other questions I had for you guys. One of them, I know there was quite a bit of, there was no love lost between you guys and BC back when you were on Great Lakes. Is that lack of love still there today? And do you have is there like, I guess, a chapter of BTH left on Great Lakes that still kind of keep the flame going between your two guilds? Yes, Beastmaster.
Up until I transferred most of my better characters to Origin once it opened up, I still played over there from time to time. No, there's no love lost. I mean, I could show up somewhere at a dungeon, one of them see me there, and I kill maybe 1 or 2 or whatever before, and they'd show up with 20 people. They would call me everything in the book, every name in the book. No, I would eventually like for us all to make characters that we could transfer around with, go to a shard, somebody place one house for one guild, and basically go from shard to shard and see, if we could take them over. I wish people would come here. We've had, people say they're coming here and they bring 1 or 2 characters and they're saying they're feeling it out, and then they never bring their guild over. I don't know if they don't think they want to fight, if they can't stand up to the competition. I welcome any and all guilds, to come over. If they want to align, so be it. They're still not going to win.
Well, there seems to be based on what I've been reading in IRC, there is one person, too bad he didn't have his tag on, so I have no idea what guild he was part of, but he seems to be very, very much itching to come over to your guild. But I think, Poison, do you want to comment, or are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. We're gonna go back to the whole egg sharding thing, but not right now, though. I do want to ask you a couple more questions beforehand. Is your guild part of any alliances right now? And if not, what is your stance on allying anyone? And I'm not talking about the occasional Trammy alliance where you give them a chance to spawn a little bit in exchange for the skulls. I mean, if you guys are considering at any point in time having a long-term solid alliance with any guild. Yes, Poison.
Usually the only time we ally anybody is to alleviate some of the stress we're getting from every guild in Felucca being allied against us. usually it's a smaller guild that's moderately active in Felucca, and it's just there to help us fight the multiple guilds that are allied against us.
Okay, Beastmaster?
I would say that if we do align with anybody, which we don't very often, I mean, unless they're going to, harvest skulls and scrolls for us, there's really no sense in it because we don't need any help as far as fighting that I can see. But we have aligned a few for the simple reason as to the 3 and 4 a.m. spawns that most of us can, or, these guys, we ask them, say, look, what time's y'all's best playing time? And they can say, we play from midnight till server up, or from, and then we play from server up to lunch. That's the kind of lines we're looking for where we can't be on, but they can put a stop to anybody else trying to do spawns. And in return, we let them do their own spawns, except they can't do oaks. If they want to do oaks, they can, but then if they do the harrower and we have to protect it or guard, well, if they do the harrower and they don't tell us, we'll go in there and take it over. If they tell us, we'll put a protector down there. They keep the scrolls, the hidden scrolls. We keep the protection scrolls. It's 50-50 split. They have to put up all the skulls, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, if we're going to align, they've got to bring something to the table that we haven't got, or it's not going to happen.
Fair enough. And what is your recruiting policy? Like, how does one go about joining BTH? Or do you recruit at the moment? Yes, Beastmaster.
We have a website, bthguild.com. There's a resume in there you have to fill out. What's your name, what's your skills, what time do you play, and our guildmaster basically looks through them. And if he likes you, likes everything on there, he might add you. I think he said he had 200 or 300, this, resumes on there now, but he's not added anybody. Most of the people we added right now is either a personal friend of somebody that's already been in the guild a while, or somebody that somebody knows that come over from another shard. That would be the only way. And currently right now, there's no, we're not adding any members at this time. That's subject to change 10 minutes from now. It's hard to say how the guildmaster's going to look at it. But, if you got a friend that you really want in, you're a trusted member, we'll add you. But as far as, you being in a different guild on the shard, most of the time, all they try to do is get in our guild and not really cause controversy, but they'll spy. They'll tell them where we are, what we're doing. We just recently, as early as yesterday, went through this. I kicked them, banned them from Ventrilo, kicked them from the guild and things like that. But most of the time, anybody from Warn Us type guild, they're going to pretty much just be a spy, so.
Actually, that was going to be my next question to you, whether or not whether or not you would consider recruiting members that are from enemy guilds. But I guess that kind of answered it. Yes, Poison.
We yielded quite a few people that aren't happy with the leadership in their guild. Even D, some people from D that we put in, a lot of them have, flowered out to be great guild members, great PvPers, that they weren't really allowed to, flourish in their guild like they were in ours. And we've had some spies, like yesterday we had a guy in the Ventrilo that was in TeamSpeak from another guild and yells out that it was a stealth archer, and the guy in our vent in our guild yelled out to the other TeamSpeak that we had him on track and was fixing to detect him to run away. I mean, it's just sad stuff like that goes on every day.
Yeah, sadly, there's really no way around the occasional spy that will always worm his way in. You know, I'm not too fond of spies. I think there are more honorable ways of winning a battle, but that's just me. Actually, the next question, I'm going to skip to that one. I'm actually going to go directly to the whole egg sharding business, also because I have a question from one of our listeners. But before I get to his question, I know he's been waiting for a bit now, but it won't be much longer, sorry. I have a question here for you, and it's basically, I was reading on your boards that someone claiming to be from EFL, the Empire of the Fallen Lords, was basically saying that EFL was not going to be coming to Origin to fight BTH, but they were instead going to go to Atlantic as part of their domination tour. And I actually spoke with OG to know whether or not there was any truth to it, and he says that whoever posted that is definitely not a member of EFL because EFL, as much as they would love to come into Atlantic, they cannot deal with the lag. It's just too much of a problem for them. And so, but there kind of seems to be some kind of a history between you guys and EFL, or is there? And you know, or did I totally misread that? Yes, Beastmaster.
We've been hearing, you know, that they're going to come over. I think somebody in our guild may have been from the Shard and know, or maybe in the guild with them at one time, if I'm not mistaken about that. But we've been hearing it, and they have sent one person over. I don't know if he made the character and just made the guild title, or if the actual guy was, you know, transferred over with a good character. And we keep hearing that they're scouting us out, but we're not looking for them to come over here because I don't think they can stand up to the fight for one. You know, I keep hearing they got 40 plus reds. Well, you know, all I gotta say is bring it on over. You know, I'm welcoming it. You know, if you beat us, you know, I applaud you. But first of all, I don't think they'll come. And second of all, I know they're not going to beat us. And that goes for any guilds out there. You know, bring
it. Okay, sorry about that. But so basically, what are you saying, that you know, that you want them to bring it so that you can send them packing, or you're like you would rather they do not come? Yes,
they won't be able to stand up to the slaughter because they'll beat us. I mean, we've discussed it. Our guildmasters told us if they come over here with 40 plus people, we're going to lose some battles in the beginning, but it won't last long for them. You know, we'll beat them down and they'll go back as the rest of them do. You know, I just don't think people can stand up. Other guilds can stand up to us not quitting, you know, getting, you know, a lot of people you beat them 2 or 3 times, they log off no matter how good they are. We'll beat them 2 or 3 times and they'll log off, and we'll do that for about 2 weeks, and then they'll go back to wherever shard they came from because they'll say they can't hack it over here. You know, I'd be more than glad to duel any of their characters. They want to bring them over. They want to bring their whole guild over. That's fine. They want to set up something. That's fine. You know, I wish, you know, I hadn't run it by the guild master, but I would like to, you know, for everybody in our guild to transfer, you know, as far as just maybe one character strictly set up for PvP to other shards. You know, it may be something we do in the future. Right now, I don't really see it in a picture. It's not because, you know, we can't hack it, because, I mean, you know, I can say the same thing about them because they won't transfer to us. You know, lag is an issue. You know, like he's saying, it depends on where they live. They might not be able to come to Origin because of the lag, or to Atlantic, et cetera, you know. But I would like some competition over here. You know, it kind of gets boring doing spawn after spawn, making millions after millions. I mean, it's just, you know, you can only eBay so much stuff, you know, till you get tired of it.
Okay. Poison, go ahead.
It's kind of sounding a little corny, but a lot of a lot of the things why people complain about us is a lot of times we don't even outnumber everybody else. We're usually the underdog, but 90% of the time we make up for in determination, and we just keep coming back for more. It's just we uh, we keep them down, or if we get back on the horse and try again, as they say. But they uh, they don't seem to like that too much most of the time.
Okay. Now, one more question before I actually ask the question of one of our listeners. Generally speaking, how do you guys feel about charting guilds? And by this I mean, you know, I've seen this on a number of shards where you're going to have a local guild that's going to invite a guild from another shard to help them win a battle at home. And then you have, guilds that go from shard to shard, and we have a prime example of this on Atlantic, where you have this one guild that's going from shard to shard looking for their best PvPers on other shards and bringing them to Atlantic to basically kind of try to own the place. So how do you feel about that kind of activity, I guess? Are you for or against it, or do you have any thoughts on it? Yes, Beastmaster.
I mean, I welcome any guild that wants to come over, and I would, like I said, eventually like to go other places myself, with a crew from our guild. But, I think you shouldn't cross shard. Another guild shouldn't help, want another guild to cross shard to help them. You know what I mean? I mean, they should welcome the PvP. I don't mind getting beat. I mean, it's a game. You can't win every time. I don't expect to win. I expect to die. I probably die, as much as anybody. But I'm always at the front of there, and I'm always the last to leave, in a fight. And usually, they leave me because I won't leave. And, and I die because of that sometimes. But, I would like to see, more guilds come over, and go to other shards, whether it's here or wherever they go, but not necessarily to help out another guild, but, they should do it for, for the PvP, if that's what you're after. If you're after something else, then you got other reasons, but, we're strictly PvP. We could be fine without not doing another champ spawn for a month, probably. Our guys have all got numerous scrolls. Most of their characters are scrolled out, 2 or 3 accounts. They all got 25 stat scrolls and probably 10 or 15, in the bank or on vendors. We could care less about champ spawns anymore, but the only way we can get any PvP is by doing them. Poison probably can elaborate a little more on it than I can.
Okay, Poison, go ahead.
Well, something I was going to say about, you were talking about that guild getting all the best PvPers from all the shards and coming over there. Well, we don't really look, when we recruit, we don't look for the best people. We get people that actually want to try, and we help them, and we try and set up partners. We used to set up partners with people that were kind of newer to PvP, and I mean, we're a really diverse guild. I mean, we got women, and we got a couple odd races in the guild, We've even got an Eskimo in the guild. I mean, anybody that wants to try to learn how to PvP, then, they get in the guild, and we try to teach them the best we can. We don't go around and, oh, you're the best PvPer, will you come help us because we can't get the job done ourselves? I mean, that's not how we are. We like to try and, work with what we got before we try and, have to bring ourselves down to get all these other people in the guild like that.
Alrighty. Well, then I guess I'm going to move on to that one question from Drake, the GM of the Deus Ex Machina, or better known as the X-Guild of Chessie, whom we interviewed on Sunday. And he was asking, he says, BTH said they might come to Chessie. Is that still a possibility? Is that still in the works, or is that just a rumor?
I think that's a rumor. But we were kind of, since the PvP has died down on our shard, we've been wanting to, explore other places to PvP.
Okay. Well, is this something, I know Beastmaster said that it's something he would like to do, but do you think as a whole that's something that your guild would want to do? Because I remember when I read that your entire guild had basically moved to Origin, I remember thinking, how the heck do you get an entire guild to pack up and leave to a different shard? Leaving all your friends behind, all your acquaintances behind, your house, pretty much everything, and moving on to a new shard. And I'm like, how do you get everybody to say, okay, I'm doing this? And now, is this something you guys might want to consider down the road? Maybe not as radical as the move from Great Lakes to Origin, but, having one character shard hopping, or, even actually considering a total and complete move at some point. Yes, Beastmaster.
I mean, that goes back to the money. I know it's not, but, a few dollars to transfer in-game gold or whatever to transfer, but it goes back to some people, some people can only play this game because, they sell gold or trade gold for game time codes, and, they don't have that much, spare gold, and this tends to be the people, we give things to, as far as how do we get them to do it, how do we get them as I was against moving to Origin personally. I didn't come over, I made a character on Origin right away, but for 3 months I probably, I was in the vent talking to the GM, all the time, and just talking to everybody, but I really didn't play over here on Origin Shard. I was just going to wait for the transfer and move my, all my scroll characters over, and we're going to fool with making a new one. But, when you go to another shard, it's just something different, and it wound up, after I put a little effort into it, it was pretty fun, and when you're making a lot of gold and you're getting all the scrolls you want, it's not hard to get a guild to move, because they know by moving with that guild, they're going to get the same thing. We did move to, at one time we took some characters to Lake Superior, I do believe it was the shard, and Austin, and we didn't do very good over there. I mean, we done what we accomplished, wanted to do. Went over there to just farm scrolls, and we was told by another guild member that was on that shard that it was real easy. Nobody ever fought. We got over there, and I don't forget what the guild's name was, but they were pretty tough. And even though we did accomplish what we went to do, it still was a tough battle over there. So, if we went to another shard, we wouldn't expect we're going to steamroll over anybody. Because, I mean, we don't know who all's on Chesapeake or, Legends or wherever they are. Atlantic, your guild may be real tough, It's hard to say.
Yeah, I guess that's why guilds like EFL send scouts ahead to kind of, get an idea of what they will be expecting once they cross over. But, geez, time is really flying. I have quite a few questions left for you guys, so I better get cracking. Okay, here's my more general questions here. How do you feel about the state of PvP in general? Do you feel like there is imbalance, certain classes are overpowered, or, do you feel like it's, generally speaking, okay? Yes, Beastmaster.
Archery is, as anybody knows, it's PvP. It is real overpowered. Especially a stealth archer where they can, ninjutsu, they can disappear with smoke bombs in 2 seconds. And also they can hit you with armor ignore and then turn around and hit you with a death strike, and I mean, you're done. if they're tracking. I mean, there's no living through it. You can have 120 hit points and you're not going to live. And there's really no way in the way they got the swing rate set up. I mean, I can't even grade or heal through, some of the armor ignores. I mean, that's way overpowered. They took the straight mage or wrestling mage, just straight warrior mage, it's the swordsman mage. They've took them out of the picture. I mean, they're basically useless. You need either Nujitsu, or Bushido to add in there with it, or poisoning or something like that to, compete. Basically I got a poisoning mage, and it's great for field fighting because I can just, step in and start walking and casting fields and back everybody up, people casting earthquakes and stuff like that. And that works real good as far as, PvP goes. But, there's so many templates out there, one-hit wonders. I mean, it shouldn't be like that, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I mean, you take a guy that's a trammy that's never PvP, and you 120 scroll him out with, with an archer with a good suit, and he'll come in there and kill any seasoned veteran. I mean, it took any kind of a skill as far as being able to play your character out of it. I mean, it's luck of the draw, whether he gets his, armor ignore off, or you get your flame strike off, or you get your, whatever, you're trying to do to him off. It's just basically how it works.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree that there's a number of templates that have been turned into support characters and no more, main PvP characters anymore. I look at my mages, and that's really what they've become, support characters, because everything owns you. And, with the whole wrestle thing that's still not working, you can't disarm anything, and people have insane swinging speed, and they just keep hitting you 20,000 times, and you don't have the faster cast to heal through anything. So, and with people that spam DP all the time, you're pretty much dog food. But yeah, the joys of PvP. Another question for you guys. Do you actually, still in the same line of thought, I was going to ask a different question, but while we're talking about PvP, how do you think the new expansion is going to affect PvP? If any of you guys had a chance to how do you call that, to beta test, or if you had one of your members beta testing, what kind of feedbacks have you been getting about it, and what do you feel might, how do you feel that UML might affect PvP, just like, Samurai Empire with Bushido and Ninjutsu and the oh so lovely stealth archers totally changed the way PvP is now in Felucca, especially in U. Do you feel there will be any such changes or any such great impact on PvP once UML comes out? Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, I personally don't, I don't do beta or test shards because I think they're a waste of time. I let other people do them and I just get the info from them. But from what I've been told, and, these runic bows and stuff like that, doing 120, damage in one shot, I mean, who's going to live through that? I mean, to me, they're trying to make this game like EverQuest. I don't know if they've run out of ideas or they ain't got enough sense to do anything. But, they're screwing it up, in my opinion. All these artifacts and stuff that come into play, they were okay when they put a limit to 2/6 casting and things like that. That helped a lot. But they keep adding all this, crazy stuff, turning into elves and all that. I mean, I think they're getting away totally from the game, and I think what makes this game attractive is it's always changing. But it seems like in the last year, maybe year and a half, they're going in the wrong direction to where this game was based and where they're going with it. And that just goes back to, I don't know if they're hiring, they can't keep anybody as far as on the staff that, sees it going downhill, because I don't see the game being around many more years before they'll shut it down. I may be wrong. It may be here 10 more years. I don't know. But I've been in it, roughly close to 6.5 years, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're just running out of ideas on it. I don't know. I think they're losing players, and they're trying to come up with new ways, of keeping people around or making them. It's all about the money, they make. But I just don't know where it's going, and it just don't look like it's going in the right direction to me from where it was based in the beginning.
I know what you mean, and yeah, it is really hard for many of the older players. I was looking at my own character just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I was looking like how old was my account, and if I recall, it says 94 months, and I was like, good God, it's really, the game has changed so much in all that time, and I just don't recognize it anymore, and it does scare me. The more it goes, and the more it scares me that the game is going downhill, because it's so different now than what it was back then. God only knows where it's headed. Let's just hope they will, get their act together and really bring us back to where it should be, and basically keep us from going further and further away from what we were. Because I know they're trying to bring in some of the stuff that make all those other games out there enticing, but I think they're forgetting that there's a reason people played UO to begin with, and that they stayed so loyal to the game for so many years, and the more they stray from that, and the more they will lose us. But oh well, time will tell. But moving on, because we only have like 15 minutes left, I would like to ask you guys, I know you mentioned you ventured into factions for a while. Are you guys still into factions? And, what do you think about the current state of factions at the moment? Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, we do have an allied guild as far as, it's some of our guild members that have, are in factions. We ally with them for the simple fact, because they're our people. And all they're doing it for is, to, get mass resources. And we use it very little for PvP purposes. Sometimes we have the guys that want to hide in town, and they want us to gate fight them and stuff like that. We bring our guys in from time to time to clear up town hiding. But as the most part, what is there to gain from factions? There's insurance in the game now, so blessed items don't really matter. And they were, used to, they were blessed for 3 weeks. We used to make like Verite and Valorite and Agapite and stuff, spears and weapons and stuff like that, and it was blessed. And there was a point to it then, but I don't know where it can go from here. I don't know what they could do to it to make it enticing. It'd suit me if they took it out and put back in Chaos and Order. It would be a lot more, I think you'd have a lot more people, not going to be. What's the point of being in it? There's nothing to gain. Anybody can use the faction vendors once they're set up, and you go in stat loss. And why do you want to be in stat loss? All you can ride is a colored horse. It's kind of stupid now. I don't know if they just overlooked it or don't care about it or what, but there's nothing to gain out of it. It's dead. They need to snip it off, in my opinion.
Definitely. I think everyone agrees on this. Factions could be amazing, but there currently really is no purpose to factions, so hopefully they will show them some love sometime soon. I know they're not really talking about factions at the moment, but oh well, if we keep our fingers crossed. The Archers waited a long time to finally get some love. Now they got way much more love than anybody expected, too much for that matter, but hopefully they will do the same for factions. I know Viceroy is waiting impatiently to ask his infamous questions, but I'm going to make you hold a few more seconds. We were talking about the changes to PvP. How about to champ spawns? I guess that's pretty much the only PVM you guys mostly do. But do you think the current champ spawn system is good the way it is, or do you think it would need to be revamped or, given some kind of a boost to it? Because I think probably even more so for your guild more than any other guild, since you guys pretty much, do spawns 24/7 with little interference. Do you get to a point where everybody has all the scrolls they need, your bank is overflowing with 120s and stat scrolls, then what? There is not even a purpose to the spawns except for the PvP aspect of it. So, generally speaking, would you want to see some changes to champ spawn? Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, I think partly, I don't know, what they could do to champ spawns that's going to, make it any different. But as far as, if they had a Doom type area, they give out maybe different type artifacts or different things, it may not have to be artifacts. It just, could be different things that you could get with a, fail-based type setting where, there would be a lot more fights. People would be, some of the Trammel people would have to come over, and they could be surprised, what they could do. They're scared to come now, or they don't want to mess with it right now because they have no, they got 4 other different lands that they can go to. They have no need to come to Fail. They can sit over there and harvest money and gold. Nobody bother them all day long and buy our scrolls, and they don't have to, come over here to Fail and fight the fight. And, maybe that's, but, that's their choice, by having other lands. But, they need to put something in Fail other than champ spawns, because, like you say, and most people that's already in Fail or in Trammel's been in here for years have got the scrolls they needed pretty much for what they're going to do in Trammel. Why do they need a 120 Majory in Trammel? There's no need for it. Their damage bonus and all that's not going to make any difference over there. They need to put artifacts of some sort over here to make them come, because when I started this game, there was no Trammel, there was no Ishnar. You either, if you wanted to make money, you went to the dungeons and took a chance on getting killed and losing all your items because there wasn't insurance. So, I don't know if I want to do without insurance, with the Orny and all that stuff on, but at least, make it where they have to come over here to get some of the goods,
I hear you, believe me, loud and clear. All right, we are running out of time, so I will let Viceroy ask his questions, and then I will have a couple more questions for you guys. Go ahead, Vice.
Sure thing. Basically, I always ask every guild that we always have on here, or every organization that we have on here, basically I always ask the question of, would you be willing to play on a pre-UR shard if EA was to introduce a pre-UR shard to Ultima Online? Would you be willing to play on it, starting with Poison?
Lord, yes. I'll bring it. I'd give anything. That'd make my day. That'd make my life, whatever. That'd be the shit.
All right, thank you. I'm glad that you really enjoyed it back in the day and everything. So did I. Go ahead, Beastmaster. What about you?
Yeah, I really liked the, you die and you lose your stuff, if you had a good suit. You had more of a reason to stay alive. I come into the game that way and all the changes. I quit for 6 months at AOS because of all the crap. I just thought that it was just, too insane. People casting 6'9" and stuff like that. I mean, it was, you could, if you didn't have the, it was too, the game right now, if you got all the artifacts and you got, the damage increase, you don't need any kind of skill, as a person to play it. All you got to do is click and run. Back then, the damage wasn't that bad, and there was a little more strategy to, PvP. I mean, that guy can come up and explosion flame strike you and you almost dead, and then hit you with a lightning on the run and you die. Back then, explosion flame strike would do half-life, maybe a little more, but, there wasn't no fast cast and all that. You had if he's casting flame strike, you could get off Greater Hill easily. You know what I mean? So, I'd rather play that way personally myself.
All right, and I appreciate it very much. Sakura, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on back over to you.
Alrighty. Gee, that was fast. Okay. I guess my next question to you guys would be, how would you feel about having Doom and Foul? Same thing, but, with the Felucan rules.
I think I don't think people would really come as much as they would if they gave different artifacts, like a little better mods, kind of like you kill monsters in Feluca, you get more fame, more gold, etc., better chances at getting better stuff. Like we get, if they gave the exact same stuff, there might be a lot of reds down there that can't go to Feluca. I mean, that's their only main character, and they're just totally against Trammel. They might go for that purpose, but besides that, I don't see what a huge difference having the same artifacts, same stuff would make, personally.
Okay. I actually have a question for you guys. Jeez. I don't know how to go about that one. The first one, let me see. Well, that's not really a question, kind of, but anyways, he says he wants me to ask you guys about Bob Mack, Sadistic, and Tones of Guns, I guess, that used to be core BTH members and who have since left. He wants to know what you think of them. Yes, Beastmaster.
Well, I was good friends with Bob Mack, and I hate that he ever left the guild. I was kind of at a point where I wasn't playing that much at that time, and I really never did get the whole story. Tons, I didn't really, I played with him a while, but I didn't think much of him. He was a good, he was a good player and done a lot in the guild, but personally, I didn't care much for him. And but Bob and Statistic, they had been core members for a long time. And I hated to see them go. And there's other guys that's left and went to other shards. I was just talking about Bob the other night, saying, I wished he wouldn't have left. I wished he would stay and get back in the guild. I'd do anything to work it out because I really respected him and liked him as a friend. So I hate that it happened. But I mean, when you got a guild this big, everybody's not going to get along. Even though they're my friends and I really liked them, it goes back to me being with our GM for years and years. My loyalties to him, and his loyalties to the guild and to me as well. So that's just kind of how it is. I just hate they left, and I'd be willing to let them back in personally, but I don't know if everybody would feel that way. It's totally up to the GM. I guess if I ask him to do it as a favor to me, he would, but they would have to be on their part to come in as well.
Alrighty, I guess that answers that. And then there's the second question, which is, he would like to know what your opinion is of people basically calling you guys a griefer guild. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know that we're a griefer guild. I mean, uh, I don't know what he's talking about in that respect as far as maybe us setting up fireworks, inviting people down and killing them. That's just, if they can get enough people down there and they can man us and out PvP us, then, they get the prize at the end, not us. We get to fight and, they get all the glory, but I don't know if he means from us killing our own guild members, rules are rules, and a lot of times that's the reason guilds don't stack up against us, because they don't have any rules. Everybody does what they want to, and if they decide they, don't want to do something, then they don't do it. And a lot of times that's a downfall of a guild. So, I don't know what he's talking about griefing wise. Fail is griefing anyway. We've been griefed 1,000 times by people, blocking boats, et cetera, with 10 people on them dead, and the GMs, taking 2 hours to get there and telling you this, that, and the other. So, that goes both ways. If you come to fail, you got to expect a fight, and you got to, expect some dirty play, because, it's just going to happen. You're going to get ganked by 10 people on one, or you may gank somebody 10 on one. It's just, if you got 10 red guys sitting there, one blue walks in the middle of you, yeah, they're all going to hit you. And they would do the same thing if it roles were reversed. So, they can cry about it, but it's not going to do any good, because they've all done it themselves.
Yeah, that is definitely, well, a way of looking at it. People, if you come to foul, then you should expect to fight, and, if people kill you in Felucca, it's not exactly griefing, it's just Felucca rules. My last question for you guys is, where do you see BTH in the future? Where would you like to for your guild to go? And what are the big plans? Yes, Poison.
I don't think we really have any big plans. I'd just like to see a little more, not as our guild, but I'd like to see the game itself a little more Felucca oriented over Trammel. And on the first question you asked, I wanted to make a comment on, about Bob and all those guys. What happened is they got a little too greedy, and at a point when we first came to Origin, we weren't really struggling. We just had our work cut out for us, and they thought if those 4 guys could go to that other guild, that they could offset it enough in which we wouldn't have the ability to do anything in Felucca. And at the time they betrayed us, we were doing a harrower, and they were still in the guild, and in reality they were in the other guild already, spying for them, and we about lost scrolls from the harrower and such, but we recovered everything, and they didn't even make a difference. They thought that they would, throw the chain off the spoke and send us into ruins, whatever. And we always get the comment that we're gonna, one person, a couple people could quit and the guild would go down. One monkey doesn't run this show. It's a whole chain of monkeys, and one person isn't gonna stop this guild from doing what we want to do, basically. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I definitely do. Some people let their ego get in the way and think that...
Exactly. Egos.
Yeah, well, see, the problem is some people are really good players, and they do have a very important contribution to their guild, and sometimes they let that get to their head. But no one's irreplaceable. You know, it's like you leave today, yeah, it will be felt, and yeah, it might actually hurt a little, even a lot, depending on who the person is, but eventually there will always be someone else to step up and, you know, keep the boat floating. So, but this pretty much concludes it for me, and I would like to thank you guys very much for joining us today. And I would like to give each of you an opportunity to say some parting comments to the people listening. And also, if one of you would like to give the URL of the BTH website, if people want to find out more about you guys, and also if they want to, you know, if ever they want to join your guild or apply or whatever. So I'm going to start with you, Beastmaster.
Yeah, I was putting the guild and the guild website in the IRC, but I'd just say, you know, I'd like to see more people come over, because it's kind of, you know, a lot of the people that we have been fighting or I guess they're tired of fighting the numbers, and they're starting to leave, even though there still is, you know, a lot of people over here. We'd like to see more PvP. You know, we welcome any challenge. If you beat us, you know, hands out to you. You know, anybody that, you know, thinks we're a bad guild, we're not. We're just like any other guild. We got some rules that we have, and we expect them to follow them. And I think that's the reason we are, you know, the reason we succeed is because we have guilds rules in our guild. And I appreciate everybody listening and for giving us this time.
Alrighty, thank you. And now Poison, if you want to go ahead.
I just like to thank y'all at UO Radio for giving us the opportunity to come on here and doing the best we could. We didn't really know, or it's just nice to be recognized in a way that y'all would allow us to come on here and stuff like that. But I really don't have much to say after what Beast said, you know, except you know, that's about all I've got to say.
Well, that's kind of a thing in our guild right there that we do after we kill somebody. Is it's kind of a grunt. It means owned, and it's just kind of a thing we do in our guild, and that's pretty fun.
Kind of a way to show our alpha male in ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, I'm so cracking up. Viceroy, you want to comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just quickly want to, you know, fill everybody in on the guild address. It's bthguild.com. I know Beastmaster said he put it in the IRC, but he didn't actually say it on the air or anything like that. So I just want to quickly get that in.
I was going to do it. You always have to rain on my parade. Go ahead, please.
That's www.bthguild.com.
There you go. Alrighty, so that wraps it up for us, and I want to thank everybody that joined us in IRC and everybody that was listening to us today on YoRadio.com. And I also want to especially thank Beastmaster and Poison, both members of the BTH Guild of Origin, officially known as Legionarius, even though everybody knows them better as the BTH Guild. For all of those of you who missed the beginning of the interview, don't forget that it will be up for download sometime, I guess, tonight or tomorrow on our website, www.uoradio.com. In the download sections under interview, and there are also the previous interviews that we held previously with other guilds. And don't forget that on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, as usual, we will have another guild interview, and this weekend it will be the Champs Guild from Chesapeake. So you guys want to tune in. And once again, thanks again to Beastmaster and to Poison and to Viper for pestering us, and thanks Poison for that little extra grunt. So thank you again, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.